What is up, everybody? Shauna D Man here, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys had yourselves a great week. We are here with our episode 6 review of season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and this is probably my second favorite episode behind the first episode of season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This was a very fun. It's basically a Kirk episode, and I really loved a lot of the stuff that they did in this episode. But if you're new to the channel, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching on Rumble, also hit that follow button. All right. Other than that, so let's get into it. The episode opens up with the USS Farragut with a opening monologue off of Kirk doing, first officer's log, star date, and he's like, what is a star date? Like, he looks like he's relatively bored with what they've been doing. Like, obviously, if you're familiar with the character Kirk, you know how he is, that kind of thing. So I'm not going to go too much into that, but one of the things, they come across a planet because they're checking a sensor, and Kirk's captain, Varel, likes to play by the book. Obviously, Kirk isn't like that. He likes to take risks and things like that. So he's like, Captain, a good opportunity for us to study what we're sent here to do is to get boots on the ground. Kind of like, hey, let's do something. I guess they just haven't been doing any crazy Enterprise adventures for Kirk, and so, but what ends up happening is the planet that they're surveying, it encounters a gravitational, not explosion, but I don't think the planet was destroyed. But it just looked like it was probably somewhat mined for resources, I guess is the best way to put it. But I don't remember seeing the entire planet. No, the planet was destroyed. I remember now, because when we pick up after the opening credits and all that stuff, we see that the Farragut is heavily damaged, and there's debris coming at it. But at the same time, really cool scene, really cool shot is we see the Enterprise fly in. See it phaser some debris from hitting and keep it from hitting the Farragut, and then kind of positions itself between some debris and the Farragut, and you kind of see the debris collide with the shields. I like that little shot. Very, very cool. So Spock, La'an, Scotty, Uhura, and Chapel beam over to the Farragut to assist. They have a ton of wounded. They've sent Kirk has sent multiple survivors and escape pods to evacuate the skeleton crew. And this was one of the shots that we got in the trailer. When I did the trailer breakdown, I thought this was happening on the Enterprise. I was like, oh, we're going to get an episode where we're going to get a pre-Kirk commanding the Enterprise kind of situation. No, because you really couldn't really tell with the way these bridges are set up. They all look the same. So, but no, he is essentially the acting captain of the Farragut. So they beam all the, most critically wounded people off of the Farragut to the Enterprise. And at that time, this massive ship appears that begins to basically devour the Enterprise. And it just swallows like a whale. It swallows the Enterprise, and then it warps out of there. So because beforehand, Spock was able to retrieve as much tactical data or just whatever information he can get on the ship, gave it to La'an, and then La'an beamed over to Enterprise. So right now, while the Enterprise is captured, on the Farragut we have, and it's very interesting that, not interesting, but very the original series-esque, because you had Kirk, Spock, Scotty, Chapel, and Uhura. The only people basically missing is Bones and and Chekhov. And so basically throughout the episode, there's two things going on. You have what's going on in Enterprise, where on the inside, while they're inside of the ship, their ship is being drained of basically resources. Their fuel, the power, everything is being drained by whatever the ship is. And we also learn that this ship seems to be like an amalgamation of different ships. Because one thing they point out is there's a piece of debris that they got from scanning the ship that belonged to a Klingon warbird. And so this thing just seems to be it just eats whatever it wants. It's just, to basically put it just whatever it could get its hands on, it's going to eat, dissolve it, and then assimilate it into its own structure, making it bigger and bigger. And so this is very much, even though the Enterprise and all that is, they're in it, this is very much a Kirk episode, because we see kind of like the early stages, because he comes up with a plan. The ship that took the Enterprise, they warp away. They're heading to I believe it's called Sullivan's Planet. I believe what it was called. It's a pre-warp facility. So the Prime Directive states that they can't even warn what's coming their way. And so there's a moment where like Kirk goes to Scotty, and he wants as much power as possible, because they want to try to warp past the ship to get ahead of it. And Scotty, there is intention. Scotty's basically telling him, hey, if you push this ship, she may not be able to take it and we'll be dead in the water. And Kirk's just kind of like, I believe in you, that kind of thing. And he kind of basically orders Scotty to he orders Scotty to do it without ordering Scotty to do it. And we see that it is moving at warp 7, but Scotty was right. They pushed the ship too hard, and now they're dead in the water. And this is obviously just a setback, and kind of like just a what's the word I want to look for? It's a it's like it's a gut punch for Kirk, because we do learn he's had the con before, but not in a situation like this. And Ahura even mentions like she has seen Kirk at the top of his game and probably worse situations as this. And he's just right now, he is just, because he gets a little titsy, not titsy. He gets a little angry at everybody, because he can't think. He's trying to, like, it's just you could say it's pressure of him being captain or whatever, but everything that was happening was just coming to a head, and it was just he needed to go clear his head. And there's a little funny moment where they're all like talking, because Chapel talks about she could remove Kirk from command because she is the highest ranked medical officer, and if he is unfit for the captaincy or whatever, she can technically remove him from it. But Ahura's like, no, he just needs to be reminded that he has something in himself that's great. He helped me find it, that kind of thing. And Spock's just kind of like somebody who is like, less prone to emotions and things like that should go and talk to him. And everybody kind of like looks at Spock and like, come on, Spock, it's obviously going to be you. We do have a good conversation between Spock and Kirk, as Kirk talks about an old saying his mom said about the dog, which you've probably heard at some point multiple times, about how like a dog chasing a car, like he finally catches it and he doesn't know what to do with it. And then Spock kind of just mentions a Vulcan phrase of the same manner. And so, but this conversation with Spock helps out, and he goes out and he talks about how he goes back out to the bridge, and he's like, all right, we're not giving up on the crew of the Enterprise or this crew. We're gonna get our friends back and everything. And they come to find out, and it's mainly Scotty, and he kind of points it out, is like the weakness of this ship that took the Enterprise is its never ending appetite. So what they're gonna do is basically rigged in the cells to give off like a specific energy signature that this ship the scavengers could not ignore. Like they're gonna have to take it because they're gonna definitely want it. And so I love there's another little interaction I like between Spock and Kirk when they get the plan together, they start formulating, and Spock talks about how I would have, he's not used to being called captain, and Spock's just like, I would demoted you immediately or something like that. And it's like, oh, this is a little tease. We got like a little tease of them in, I believe, season 2. Yeah, it was season 2. And I love it. I love it, because obviously the series is going to end with Kirk taking command of the Enterprise. I believe the showrunners have already mentioned that a couple of weeks ago during kind of like a not a press release, not necessarily a press release, but like an interview or something like that. I believe they did mention it. Trek Culture, that channel has it on their channel, so go and check it out. You should be able to find it. So we do know that it's going to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if most of not this season, but season 4 and 5, it's obviously going to give us legacy characters, Bones and Chekhov and Sulu. We still have not seen those 3 particular characters yet. I would expect, with them only having 5 seasons, we're going to get those in probably season 4 or even season 5, because I can probably see like maybe an interesting situation between Erica and Sulu about being pilots and stuff like that. That would be interesting to see. So anyway, back to the episode. Meanwhile, on the Enterprise, there is obviously they're losing power and things like that. And the only way to fix it, because communications are down, they have no communication, because whatever the scavengers are doing is disrupting the communication, not just throughout the ship, but even with communicators. And so Pelia, she goes, we see her room, we see her quarters on the Enterprise, and Mbanga's basically like, her quarters is just as I thought they were. And so very fun little, it's full, obviously it's gonna be full of stuff that she has accumulated over her 5,000 year presence. And so but the plan is they're going to strip the Enterprise of copper wire, because she has telephones. So they plug up telephones, and Banga has one, Una has one, and then like they obviously call Erica because they have to use like, it's not Atari, but like the old video game controllers where it's like it's like the square and the joystick. I don't think it's Atari. I can't remember the exact console that was, but like they both are having to like use these retro console controllers to like give power to the ship's engines so Erica can pilot it. So I really like that. I thought that was a little fun little not just there, but I thought that was a little fun thing right there in the episode. So and then basically they're able to make it out of the ship, and Spock has an idea, because the plan was to fire phasers, because what they did was when the scavengers, the tentacles that they used to kind of like wrap around the ship and engulf it, it went after the nacelles. It kind of like it hit itself, which disabled it for a little bit of time. And so Spock's plan was, as the Enterprise was coming out, they fired photon torpedoes. It creates a massive explosion and explodes the ship. Now, there has also been a firefight going on the Enterprise because two of the scavengers were on the Enterprise. I guess you could say they were just checking the fuel lines and things like that, making sure everything going as it should. La'an was able to vaporize one with her phaser. I don't know why the other one didn't get vaporized with when she fired at it, but it definitely got injured. And so one of the things was they found the dead engineer, and there's blood, and you see because this is happening simultaneously because Pike wondered why, because there was a moment in the episode where the scavenger could have shot Pike, but it chose not to. So there's a moment where as Pike is going to remove the face covering of the scavenger, Spock is on Farragut looking into the visor, and he's talking about how many life signs. There are 7,000, but they're quickly dwindling. What we come to learn and find out is that these scavengers, these 7,000 scavengers on this ship, were all once humans from Earth. And so kind of what we learned, Uhura goes and digs up some historical records about it. And then I think she said the mid 21st century or something along those lines. The planet Earth was not sustainable, and so they sent I would assume explorers out to go and find a new hospitable planet for colonization, that kind of thing. Now, this incident that happens takes place before first contact with the Vulcans. Even Pelia mentions that she remembers when it launched. They were still putting the fires out of the Third World War, and these are supposed to be the best and the brightest of humanity. And obviously those original people were gone. These were basically the descendants. These 7,000 individuals on the scavenger ship were basically the descendants of those original people that got sent into space to try to find a more hospitable planet for everybody. And like it is a sad and somber moment in the episode. Just everybody's just you got Chapel, I think, M'Benga, Kirk, Spock. You got basically everybody there, and just sitting there, just looking and just listening to Uhura just tell everybody about it, and then hearing Pelia talking about it. It's it was just sad to listen to. And then you have a conversation with Pike and Kirk afterwards, where Kirk is just. He talks about how he didn't see them as human. He just probably just saw them as the enemy, that kind of thing. And Pike mentions maybe that's a lesson that you needed to learn. And Pike mentions that when you're in the chair, the decisions that you make, you have to live with those decisions, good or bad. You have to live with those decisions that you make, but that basically comes with the job of being in the chair. You are the captain of the ship, and so, but definitely probably my second favorite episode of the season so far. It was a really, really good episode. I really, really liked it. But that's relatively it. Like I said, it's a fun episode. That's it for the review. If you guys are new, be sure to, like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe. If you're watching on Rumble, hit the follow. Be sure to check out the other channels I have down in the description below. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for watching. And I will see y'all in the next video. Have a good one.